Welcome back to McNulty's Book Corral. I am in the other room today, which, as you can see, is a mess. I'm still working on it. I've been working on it for a long time. I have boxes and books all around me. This bookcase behind me is almost set. You can see right up here on this shelf here. Here's a better. That shelf there is the Robert Nathan collection with a variety of other cool things. Anyways, today we're taking a look at some reprint vintage novels. This is a group of books published by Black Gat Books, which is a division of Stark House Press, whom I have covered before. And I picked 4 to talk about for this. I've been collecting these for some time, reading them when I have a chance, and I have a backlog of books that I've read, I've taken notes on, and I have more books that I have purchased from this group that I've yet to read, and I have a ton in my wish list. So we're going to start out with The Fifth Grave by Jonathan Latimer. I will have a scan of this book come up. This is the best of the 4. This book blew my mind. I mean, it was really just incredible. This book was originally published in England in 1941, and it was published in edited version in Mystery Book Magazine in 1946 here in the United States. And then it was published in a popular library version of the paperback in 1950 as The Fifth Grave. The original title was Solomon's Vineyard. So here's the setup here with The Fifth Grave. Okay, this is an incredible book. It's a first-person narrative private eye story. Yes, I have my notes, so I don't get this wrong, because this is a book you really have to read. If you love mysteries and thrillers, and vintage doesn't mean anything to you, if you're not opposed to vintage, I know there are people actually that are. You're crazy, but you are. Get this book and read it, because it's really cool. So it's a first-person private eye story in the tradition of Chandler, etc. He's hired to get a girl out of a religious cult. His partner is murdered. His name was Oki Johnson, and this sets off the adventure. And I'm going to read you the opening paragraph of this wild adventure, because it will give you a flavor of the prose. And this prose is enticing. It is imagistic. It is hard-boiled, traditional pulp, vintage prose, and it's really a great book. But it begins this way. From the way her buttocks looked under the black silk dress, I knew she'd be good in bed. The silk was tight, and under it the muscles worked slow and easy. I saw weight there and control, and brother, those are things I like in a woman. I put down my bags and went after her along the station platform. She walked towards the waiting room. She had gold blonde hair and curves, and breasts the size of Cuban pineapples. Yeah, and that's just the beginning. So, enticing indeed. Alluring, absolutely, for male readers and possibly for others. You never know. This book takes a wild turn. So his partner's murdered. His partner is investigating where the girl is. They're looking for the girl. They've been hired by the girl's uncle to get her out of the religious cult. And he's murdered, and then he gets involved in another woman. There's a lot of subplots here. Another woman who was involved with a gangster. This is the main subplot, and he really has a thing for her, and he can't get her to be with him. The gangster finds out that they're together, and a couple of mild spoilers here, by the way, if you don't want to hear it. He punches a guy's lights out and has him hurt. So that subplot goes on for a while, where he's pursuing the dame, and it's really fun. And then there's a princess in the cult who he also will get involved with. He will contact the girl that's a member of the cult, and the cult is really strange. The book really falls along the traditional private eye investigating the mystery, making contacts and talking to people, and all of that's pretty standard until about halfway through the book. And then, he gets involved with the princess, and she has a thing. That you have to read for yourself to describe, rather than listen to me describe it. Some of the romantic entanglements can be pretty rough here. It's not pornographic at all, but it takes a wild turn. The cult gets really culty, really strange, really odd, almost gothic in a way. There's a corpse involved, and it has a very surprising ending. And amazingly, throughout it all of these little plot elements that I'm talking about are all tied off in the end of this amazing book, The Fifth Grave, by Jonathan Latimer. This is a must-read for you mystery fans, for you fans of hard-boiled fiction. Absolutely fantastic. His name is Carl Craven. He's a PI, and boy, does he have a load of trouble. It's a great book. It really is. It's my favorite of the four. All right, so let's take a look at real quick here. And I'm babbling on. Object of Lust. This is by Charles Runyon. This is a tale of lust and possession. Marion DeWitt is feeling restless. Her husband is away, and so forth and so on. She's curious about a young man, and drama occurs. It's a very well-written book. It has a typical lusty cover. As all of you know from watching this channel, I am a huge fan of the artwork of the past, the painted covers. And these books, by the way, Black Cat books, usually have a bibliography and a bio of the authors. So you'll get a lot of information here. Charles Runyon, who wrote this under the name Mark West, he was born in 1928 and died in 2015. And let's see if it gives the Jonathan Latimer information here. He was born in 1906 in Chicago, and he died in 1983. So Object of Lust is my second pick out of the four. Really good book. Hard to top that first one. It is so wild, but good, steady thriller here. I really enjoyed this one. I enjoyed all four. That's why I'm recommending them. Then we have a really interesting book. It's called Satan Takes the Helm by Calvin Clements. Now, this is about Martin Lewandowski, who needs a job. He lands a job on a tramp freighter, and the captain's wife, Joyce, has some ideas for him. And we know what that means, don't we? Because we're all consenting adults here in my overcrowded back room den library. Now, here's the thing about Calvin Clements. He wrote 39 episodes of Gunsmoke. That's right. Calvin Clements wrote 39 episodes of Gunsmoke and many, many other things. And when you look at the back of this, he was born in 1915 and he died in 1997. He wrote screenplays for The Rifleman. He wrote 10 episodes of The Rifleman. Have Gun Will Travel, 1 episode. Zangray Theater, 1 episode. Laramie, 1 episode. Lots of fun stuff. Gunsmoke's his big one. The FBI, remember the FBI with Efren Zimbalist Jr.? He wrote 6 episodes of that. How the West was won, he wrote 3 episodes. That's the 1979 version, and so forth. So Calvin Clements, this is really should have been my second pick. This is probably a book that you should also seek out. Calvin Clements knew how to set a scene. He knew how to write dialogue. He knew how to build suspense. He wrote all of these classic television shows, and this novel is amazing. So let's see when this was published in 52. So there we have 3 of them. Now let's get to the last one, which is Old Man's Badge. Old Man's Badge is by Ferguson Findlay, and here is the cover. Again, more scans coming up. Love the cover artwork on all of the Black Cat books. I love the fact that they're doing these in the original pocketbook size. The Black Cat logo is here. These books are numbered. You'll remember, some of you that have been watching a long time, that I did an episode about Harry Whittington, and the very first Black Cat mystery thriller was a Harry Whittington book that I talked about. So this is about Johnny Malone. Johnny Malone goes undercover to track down a killer on the prowl. Very standard type book. It's not exactly a procedural, and yet it plays out that way. I think the writing is pretty good. He gets right to the discussion. Smith & Wesson's Police Model 38 is the smoothest working revolver ever made, and yet I was having trouble breaking the cylinder to get rid of the 5 empties. The 5 empties. So he gets right to it, and then he explains how those 5 became empties. The usual thing. There's a cop killer out there. He's looking for the cop killer. There is a lot of roaming the New York streets. This would be post-war New York, which is always interesting to read about, and you know, it's pretty good. Again, my favorite would be The Fifth Grave, and then I did like Object of Lust and Satan Takes the Helm. I like them all, but The Fifth Grave is the one I would recommend you seek this out on Amazon and buy it. So Black Cat books. Black Gat, if I could read. It's a Black Gat book. Again, a division of Starkhouse Press. I've covered them before. I'll be covering them again. I have more of those that I've read that I've taken notes on, and more in my wish list. And Black Cat books just released The Steel Noose as their latest release, which I added to my wish list. But I'm going to go through what I have first and finish reading them, and I have already read others, so I'll be doing more episodes. Now, why am I doing this? The reason I'm doing this is because I love the idea of the reprint industry for classic vintage pulp paperbacks or pulp magazine stories. I think that's a fantastic industry to partake in. That is the way we preserve our cultural history. I think it's vitally important that we do that we understand the writing of the past. Stop all this nonsense about, analyzing, the disclaimers people put up, like it depicts outdated ethnic roles. I don't care about that. You should be able to figure that on your own without anybody telling you. You're educated people. I don't mean to rant, but, I get angry when it's like, oh my God, he referred to her as a broad. In every one of these books, there's dames, there's broads, there's twitching their sassy hips, okay? Men like that. Some women like that. It is very much a masculine style of literature, not necessarily Gone with the Wind. There are writers out there doing it. Peter Brandvold, as a writer of westerns, is very masculine, and good for him. Anyways, I just love this idea that they are continuously looking for vintage paperbacks and reprinting the novels with the original artwork. I actually have some of the original novels that they've reprinted. I'll show you those in future episodes. Right over here. You can't see it, but there's a bookcase here that stretches to the ceiling, by the way, and it's packed. Anyways, so that's my rant for today. Vintage classic mysteries and thrillers, fantastic stuff. Kudos to Black Gat Books and Starkhouse Press. If you enjoyed this video, let me know in the comments. Let me know if you pick up any of these books and what are your views on them. If you're a booktuber, why not find The Fifth Grave? It's $10 or 11 or whatever it is, and do a review of it and see how we compare. I think that would be really interesting. When I look at other booktubers, I'm not looking for them to agree with everything I say. In fact, when they disagree, I pay close attention because that's where learning comes in. And in a future episode, I'll be talking about my perceptions and how I approach this idea of differing points of view, which I think is, in our culture today, it's handled wrong. It's handled as hatred, and it shouldn't be. You should be reasonable about it and understand what you're reading. Okay, end of rant. Sorry about that, guys. I really rambled on, didn't I? And I'm going to go have myself a Pepsi for a change because I have some work to do in this room, cleaning up, and I have to get out of my cowboy pimp outfit and get to work. Stay well, stay happy, feed your brain, please. Read a book.